pretty big is the Canadian men's national team will be out playing pretty soon against the U.S. men's national team. Not out playing per se like they did in October, just going to be out there playing against the men's national team. First of all, and of course the big news is too that there's now 2 Canadian Premier League players that got called up for the November window here. Do you think that there should have been more players? Do you think 2 is the right number? Do you think there should have been different players than these 2? Of course, it's Amir Didic, defender of FC Edmonton, and Cavs defender Dominic Zader, both getting called up. What's your say on that?
I mean, Dominic Zader's someone who, to me, would have been one of the first guys ever to be called up. Just a solid defender, a really good player in a position of need. Frankly, that to me is the natural choice. I think there are a lot of players throughout the league who performed particularly well, but maybe didn't fall into that category of falling into a position of need. For example, we had some talented young Canadian strikers do their thing in the Canadian Premier League this year. It's going to be really hard to usurp the fellows who are playing forward for Canada right now, which is a remarkable thing to say, because when I was growing up, Jonathan Davids and Alphonso Davies were not the kind of guys you were seeing play in red. So I think I'm happy that anyone is getting a sniff from the Canadian Premier League in the first year. That to me just validates the fact that anyone's even paying attention. I think that is the big win here, is that, okay, yeah, we are paying attention. We do see guys who we think could help us. Whether or not they get a ton of minutes or not is, to me, frankly, it's secondary. That'll come as the league grows, as it matures, as the level of competition grows. You're going to see more and more Canadians from the Canadian Premier League get minutes in the men's national team. That to me is kind of the proof of the value of the league. And by the time we get to 2026 and World Cup games are being played in our own backyard, that's my sincere hope, is that you're seeing 2, 3, 4 starters playing domestically, right? That would be remarkable. But we've got a ways to go yet.
Yeah, no, I think it's super exciting. I think Dom Zader, I feel like he would have been one of the first ones called up, but for whatever reason he wasn't. Maybe it's because the Cavs were playing a heavy schedule there for a while with the CPL and also the Canadian Championship, and they're always in the run the entire year for the championship slot. So maybe, I don't know, they kind of worked in their deal where like, hey, don't take any of these players just yet. Maybe wait until November. But yeah, I think he deserves it. I think Amir Didic, again, second call up now. He was called up back in October for the men's national team. I think both of them deserve it. In terms of who, if they play, I'm not too sure. But like you said, it's great news that they're just getting called up in general, right?
Yeah.
And the playing time, they will come to playing time. I think both of these players are good enough players that they will get playing time with the men's national team at some point. Maybe it's not this window, but I could see it as soon as next year. I really do. I feel like there's going to be more players that get called up next year, more of them potentially even getting a few playing minutes. I think defenders, like you said, it is a place that we don't have too much depth at, that I think we can really crack at, especially the fullback positions. I know Dom Zader played a little bit. I think it was right back this season for the Cavs. So he's definitely, you can kind of move him. You don't have to play him strictly at center back. Amir Didic, though, mostly played center back for FC Edmonton this year, looked good. So both these guys, I think, deserve shots. I'm not too sure about the center back position, if they can crack it. It looks pretty solid right now. But overall, who do you think is gonna win this matchup between the men's national team, the Canadian men's national team, and the U.S. men's national team?
Man, I absolutely like to think so. For anyone who watched the last match that they played at BMO Field, man, the U.S. did not look like themselves at all. It's really not the same squad that they had been even a few short years ago. And on the flip side, Canada looks like a totally new squad. It's just remarkable, the talent that we have right now. I've heard the term golden generation thrown around. I don't know that's it's a little bit salesy.
Yeah.
but it's not. It's also not wrong. We've got some phenomenally talented players right now. Like I said, playing attractive attacking football. It's weird. I like it. And Greg Berhalter in the States, man, he's got his hands full. He doesn't have the same quality, I don't think, that in terms of his roster depth that the U.S. has historically had, and they don't seem to have figured themselves out yet. It was far too easy for Canada to dominate play. Now, this next leg is going to be played in the States. That on its own is going to make a big difference. Man, I there's very little that would surprise me in terms of a result. The U.S. if they they're on their day could hand Canada a loss. I could see Canada going in and punishing them again. It's going to be a game to watch for sure. I'm hopeful for at least a draw, which would put Canada through as the top seed. Yeah, which would be excellent.
Yeah, no, the draw would be great. I'm hoping for the victory though. If we're gonna do this thing, let's do it in style. Let's win this thing in style. I don't think it's gonna be a clean sheet. Unfortunately, I don't think they've let in a single goal this entire fall campaign so far, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's gonna be tough. My prediction, I think it's either 1-1 or 2-1. I don't know 2-1 for who though, just because I feel like the U.S. You almost imagine the U.S. would bounce back, but it just seems like you're right. They don't look like themselves. The last 2-3 years, it just seemed to be declining significantly. I think losing out on the World Cup and spot in 2018 severely declined them. Even took the win out of the sails. And you're right. I honestly, looking back now, it's like I don't even know what's going on. It's like they've had the MLS now for 20 plus years. There should be no excuse, at least in developing younger American talent. And they got quite a bit of great stars now playing, not just in the MLS, but all around the world and higher leagues. You got Pulisic over with Chelsea FC there in England. So I mean, they can't be making excuses. They have more money behind them too than even the Canadian men's national team programs, and they have the MLS that's got history now. You got all these great stars all over the place, yet they look like shells of their former selves. Meanwhile, here's this young and gun, red hot style of the Canadian men's national team coming in there, with all these teenagers and letting them up 2-0 almost, and doing it in convincing fashion. I mean, they outplayed them. They look better than them. And I feel almost as if they can beat them in the U.S. I mean, that's obviously, again, that's the next big test here, is if they could beat them in U.S. in their own hometowns. But I think they can. Why not? I mean, this men's national team, ever since they lost in the CONCACAF, has suddenly surprised me with how just deadlock they are at just winning it all. Not just winning, but dominating.
Yeah, they seem to have figured themselves out. They have an identity. They know how they want to play, and they look like they're having fun doing it too. Like they're really coming into their own. And what I'm really excited about is this group of guys is going to be together for years, for at least another cycle, if not a cycle and a half. Like especially some of the young guys are going to be there for the next 2 World Cups. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, no, this is honestly the best time for Canadian men's national team. Like I remember growing up, and the best we had to look forward to was a younger Hutchinson or Dwayne DeRosario was tearing it up back then, and he was like almost like a man on an island. It was just him, and so and then we had Jimmy Brennan, end of his time. But I mean, now this is literally looking like it's like the best time ever. I mean, I was just looking at FIFA 20 overall potentials. I know it's not anything to take stock in, but just like seeing we have 2 young players that overalls, and one of them, of Davies, is an 87 overall potential, and then the other one, David's, an 88 overall potential. It was just, world class players right there, and it's like, wow, and these guys aren't even 20 years old yet. So and of course we got Davies too, who just started I think it was just last week for Bayern Munich there in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's literally like you can almost feel the momentum every time you just talk about it. Just the men's national team and just soccer in general is on that rise in Canada right now, and I think the Canadian Premier League is obviously at the forefront of that, and that's great news.
It's coming together. It's happening.
That's exciting. It's exciting times.